Hello, and welcome to my channel, where I mostly share my love of fragrance and enjoying my collection. In this video, I'll be reviewing 3 perfumes from the brand Commodity, as well as sharing comps and an overview of my entire Commodity collection. Thank you so much for stopping by, and let's get started. If you're not familiar with Commodity, they're a niche fragrance brand that used to be sold at Sephora a few years ago, and I personally think that they have some really great perfumes. They went out of business for a little while, and during that time, I was actually hoarding the few precious bottles that I had, but luckily they got bought by a new owner and relaunched the company, and they brought back many of the beloved scents from the original line, as well as created some new scents. For the core line, they have actually created 3 versions of each scent. The original, which is now called Expressive, a lighter version called Personal, and a more intense version called Bold. It's not different concentration levels for the 3 options. They're actually different notes for each of these scents, and they're designed to be for different experiences. You would wear something that's a personal scent when you want it to be, closer to the skin, maybe something you'd wear around the house, and a bold scent when maybe you're out at a party or you want something, that's really going to carry. I'd already filmed most of this video, and then I saw the announcement that Commodity is going to be returning to Sephora in September. I'm really excited about that because hopefully they'll have a good selection in store and I'll be able to try more of the scents. And if you're not able to get to a store, they do offer sampler sets online as well. And the perfume that made me originally try Commodity was Gold, which I do really enjoy. But after trying other scents in the line a few years back, I actually found that Velvet was my favorite. And then more recently, I tried their new fragrance, Milk, and I fell in love with that one too. So right now, those are my 3 favorite scents from Commodity. And for all of them, I had the expressive version. And I wanted to try out the personal versions, which are designated with a minus after the name. So I'll be reviewing Gold minus, Milk minus, and Velvet minus in this video. And I'll be comparing each of them with the original expressive version of the scent. And at the end of the video, I'll also go ahead and share my full Commodity collection with you. So before we get into the scents, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the packaging. All of the perfumes come in these nice heavyweight cardboard boxes with an outer sleeve, and the perfumes are nestled really snugly inside the box. And overall, I think it's really a nice presentation. And they also include a card inside, which on one side tells you a little bit about the fragrance, and on the other side, it describes their scent space system, as well as listing the notes for the fragrance. And starting with Gold, this is the original version, which would now be the expressive version. And the notes from the original on Fragrantica are top notes of camphor, juniper berries, and bergamot, mid notes of amber, benzoin, and Haitian vetiver, and base notes of vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, and musk. And this fragrance has a lot of aromatic notes in the opening, but they do fade away pretty quickly. And after that, I'm left with a kind of sweet, creamy vanilla. And it's not the raw type of vanilla. It has more of a gourmand type of sweetness, and it's a little sugary, but not overly sugary. And there's also a lot of like warm resinous amber and tonka in this scent that is really beautiful. And overall, the scent is just a really warm, sweet vanilla with a really strong ambery presence. And then moving on to Gold Minus, which is the personal version of the scent. This has top notes of ISO E Super, mid notes of amber and sandalwood, and a base note of vanilla. And this one has a nice soft vanilla scent that feels a bit sugary as well as powdery. And the ISO Super gives it a nice woody quality. And it also has a little bit of spiciness in the base, but it's pretty soft. And I find that the vanilla is mixed well with the amberiness and the powderiness. And it just kind of all combines into a really nice, sweet, soft vanilla woody scent. And it does sit closer to the skin, and it doesn't project as much as the original Gold, but I do think that this serves a good purpose and would be great for, days when I want something softer and more subtle. So when I compare the two, I feel like the original gold has more warmth to it, and I do find that it's sweeter than gold minus, but it's a kind of a warm sweetness. And both of them have a powdery and sugary feeling to them, but the original almost has kind of a marshmallow like quality to it. And, I do really like both of these, but if I had to, pick between them, I would have to say that I prefer the original gold. I feel like it just draws me in with that super rich, warm vanilla with, the nice amber and tonga. I just really like that one, so I would have to go with the original for this one. And then moving on to Milk, this is the expressive version of the scent, and this was a brand new fragrance launched by the new company. And this has a top note of cold milk accord, mid notes of roasted sesame and warm marshmallow, and base notes of mahogany wood, tonka bean, and benzoin. And I have to say that this is just a really beautiful, sweet marshmallow scent. I find that I get a lot more of a marshmallow smell than a milky one, but it is a lactonic fragrance. And there's a lot of strong tonka in here as well as woodiness. And overall, the scent is just very warm and cozy. And I feel like it gets sweeter the longer that you wear it. And it also has a bit of a toasted marshmallow quality to it, very similar to Bath and Body Works Marshmallow Fireside or Replicas by the Fireplace, but it's definitely not as smoky as those. So, I just feel like this is a really wonderful fragrance. As my first exposure to the new brand, I was really pleased, and the experience of trying Milk definitely made me interested in trying other scents in the line. And then there's Milk Minus, which is the personal version of the scent. And this has top notes of cashmere woods and skin musk, mid notes of amber and white cedarwood, and a base note of mahogany wood. And Commodity doesn't actually list marshmallow in this version of the fragrance, which I think is a little odd because I definitely get a marshmallow feeling from it. It is a soft, creamy, musky scent, but I really feel like there's a marshmallowy presence to it. There's also a nice soft woodiness to it. It's definitely not as sharp, I feel, as the previous one. And it does also have some nice kind of ambery feeling as well. And to me, this really does come across as a softer version of Milk Expressive. The musk really lightens it and just makes it softer, a little sweeter, and more powdery. So I do think this one is really beautiful as well and is something great to reach for when you want that marshmallow scent, but you just want something a little softer. So when comparing Milk and Milk Minus, I find that they're both really pretty marshmallow scents. Milk Expressive is definitely deeper and it has, that tonka and more of a sharper woodiness to it, whereas Milk Minus has musk and amber and is just softer and lighter overall. And I'm really not sure that I could pick between these because I really like them both. I was really surprised how much I liked Milk Minus because I already really fell in love with Milk. But I actually think I'm leaning right now a little bit towards Milk Minus because it just feels so soft and powdery and sweet. And, I just find that I really want to reach for it. But I really do love both of these and would just wear them for different purposes. And then the last fragrance here is Velvet, and this is the original version. And this has top notes of cloves, almond, and coconut nectar, mid notes of vanilla flower, rose petals, and heliotrope, and base notes of white woods, birch, and black amber. And this is a really lovely, warm rose scent. It's very strong, and it does have a smokiness to it, but I don't find that the smoke is overpowering. I think it softens to be a little more like Replicas by the Fireplace. And I think that the scent can come across a little bit almost masculine at first, but I feel like when it dries, it becomes a more feminine, pretty scent. And I think that the heliotrope gives it a really nice powderiness that mixes well with the woods. And the cloves bring in a spiciness that mixes really nicely with the rose, but But overall, when it dries down, it really, to me, smells like a sweet vanilla rose scent. And I think it's really lovely. This quickly became my favorite commodity scent from the original line. And it really got me excited to try some of these other versions. And then we have Velvet Minus, which again is the personal version of the fragrance. And this is, of course, from the new company. And this has top notes of vanilla flower and rose petals, a mid note of skin musk, and a base note of clove buds. And I do find that, that smoke note from the original is still present here. And I feel like it's almost more noticeable because the other notes are softer. And the scent comes across kind of incense like mixed with rose. And I also feel like it has a bit of an ambery feeling as well. And I feel like I missed the heliotrope from the original. I wish it had some of that, sweet powderiness to it. So I would just definitely say that out of all of the personal minus versions of the fragrances, this is probably my least favorite. I just feel like the reduction in some of the other notes has brought that smoke note a little bit forward, and it's not my favorite part of the scent. So I just wish that there was a bit more sweetness and softness to this. So I think based on that, it's pretty obvious that if I had to choose between these two fragrances, I definitely would choose the original Velvet over the Velvet Minus. I just feel like the original Velvet is perfect. It's such a beautiful, sweet, spicy rose scent with a beautiful woodiness and powderiness, and it's just perfect. So I feel like the Velvet Minus wasn't able to really add anything that made it stand out. So, if I had to rank the personal scents, I definitely say that my favorite is Milk Minus, then Gold Minus, then Velvet Minus, which is kind of interesting because for the original or expressive versions, my ranking would be Velvet as my favorite, followed by Milk and then Gold. Although I have to say that Milk and Gold are very close. It's just right now I've been reaching for Milk more. And I really do love all three of these fragrances. I like the original versions and the personal versions, and I definitely would recommend all of them. I wanted to quickly share my entire commodity collection with you, and all of my bottles except for milk and the new personal scents are from the original company, and they're all 3.4 ounces. I believe they've said they haven't changed any of the formulas, so the scents are supposed to be the same from the bottles that I have to now. And the first one here is gin, and this is a really fizzy ginger scent with some tart lime and a light herbal note. I think it's supposed to resemble a cocktail, and I feel like this is the most masculine of all my commodity fragrances. Next is wool, and I think this is a really interesting scent. It's supposed to evoke the feeling you'd have, wrapped in a wool blanket, sitting by the fire on a cold night. And I do think, it's a very cozy sort of fragrance. It's soft and musky with some citrus and lavender, as well as vanilla and woods. And I do think it's a very unisex fragrance. Then we have Milk, the expressive version, and we already went over the review for that, so I'll move on. And then we have Nectar, and this is a predominantly neroli scent with some sweet orange blossom and honeysuckle, but it is more citrusy floral than it is sweet. And then there's Bois, and that means wood. And that's basically what this scent is. It's a very woody vanilla scent with a little bit of spice and some nice florals. I believe it's orchid, and I do really enjoy this one. And then there's Velvet, which we already did the review of, as well as Gold. So I will move on to the next one. And this is Rain, and it's a very fresh, green, aquatic scent with a citrusy opening. And this fragrance is meant to mimic the scent of walking in the rain. And the last one is Mimosa, and it's actually not like Mimosa the flower, which I appreciate because I don't really like Mimosa the flower. This is more reminiscent of Mimosa the drink. So it's very citrusy with some white florals and musk. So that's it for my commodity review. Let me know if you've tried any of these scents or which ones you're interested in checking out. I do think there's some really good scents from this line and would encourage you to give them a try. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.